With the March 9 presidential election inching closer, the Election Commission has expedited preparations for the polls. Code of conduct for the elections of the President and the Vice President will come into effect starting tomorrow. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. More than 20% of the country's population is still illiterate, despite government investing 12 billion rupees in literacy campaign. The campaign yet to be implemented in many parts of Madhya province. With the new government equation, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal faces increasing challenge to manage power equation among alliance partners. Public issues overshadowed by the power priorities. Excessive imports of food items pushes local crops to brink of extinction. Experts recommend stakeholders to promote traditional crops to maintain food security. And Trivan Army lifts the Bhadrapur Jhapa Gold Cup, defeating Machindra Football Club 4-3 in tiebreaker. The Office of the Election Officer has published the final list of candidates for the election of President slated for 9th of March. The Election Commission had given till 4 in the afternoon today to candidates willing to withdraw their names. However, both the candidates Ramchandra Podal and Suvas Chandra Nimwang have stayed in the race to be the head of the state. In the meantime, the Election Commission has said that the Election Code of Conduct will come into effect from tomorrow till 19th of March. The election for Vice President has been scheduled for the 17th. The Code of Conduct will be implemented on 11 types of institutions, individuals and authorities, and public officials and security institutions of all 3 tiers of the government. Political parties, their sister organizations and media organizations will also need to abide by the conduct. Meanwhile, 18 parties have filed their applications for registration at the Election Commission to contest in the by-elections in Chitwan Constituency 2, scheduled for 23rd of April. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has been compelled to lead the government with a different political alliance within 2 months of his tenure. The government will now be expanded by the 8-party alliance that has been formed ahead of the presidential election following the withdrawal of the support lent by CPN-UML. Analysts meanwhile say that even though a favourable alliance for Premier Dahal has been formed, the aspirations of various coalition partners could affect the future of the alliance. During his appointment last year, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal had claimed of establishing political stability as he went on to make pledges regarding easy access to public services and prioritize good governance and development. However, no significant progress has been made within his 2 months tenure. Instead, the ruling coalition parties split ways, adding to the uncertainty of the government. Premier Dahal has now joined alliance with 8 parties, including the largest party, Nepali Congress. Dahal, as observers put it, has the challenge of garnering confidence vote and expanding the cabinet by catering to the interests of alliance partners. Dahal has a major challenge of taking Nepali Congress into confidence to ensure his government is stable as it moves forward. All eyes are on Maui Centre that has 32 seats at the lower house and its future decisions that will aid in maintaining its collaboration with Nepali Congress that has the highest 89 seats at the lower house. Now, the government some 14 years ago aimed at eradicating illiteracy within 2 years with its literacy campaign. However, despite having spent 12 billion rupees, 22% of Nepalese are still illiterate. The campaign has also yet to be implemented in Madhya province. The literacy rate has not exceeded 78%. However, 62 districts have been declared literate. Of the remaining districts are 8 in Madhya province, 3 from Lumbini, 3 from Karnali and 1 from Sudur Paschim. The incumbent government has made similar claims of eradicating illiteracy within 2 years' time. However, a concrete plan to attain the goal has yet to be formulated. Meanwhile, former administrators have claimed previous governments lacked follow-up plans for those who received basic education, which means many of those who had enrolled in the program have almost forgotten to read and write due to lack of practice. Experts also say indifference on part of the local levels towards accommodating underprivileged population has also worked against the campaign. In our Public Voice segment, today we've asked people in several provinces regarding failure to promote literacy rate despite conducting literacy campaigns annually. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
अनुगमनमा कमी आयो कि
हेरचाह छैन पढाइ कस्तो छ के छ
साक्षरता अभियान राज्यको तर्फबाट चलाइरहनुपर्छ चलिरहनुपर्छ
सरकारले पढाइ पो पढ्न लेख्न जान्नु पर्ने पढा चासो गर्दैन सरकारले अनि कसरी पढ्नु पर्ने
समय अनुकूल सापेक्षित कार्यक्रम नभएको हुनाले
सबैलाई शिक्षा समान रूपमा नभएर
सरकारले चाहिँ जनचेतनामूलक कार्यक्रम नगरेर
जानकारी सबैतिर शहर बजारतिर दिन्छ तर गाउँमा टोलटोलमा पिछडिएको गाउँतिर दिन नसकेर साक्षरता नभएको
साक्षर हुनुको लागि म आफूले पनि टाइम दिनुपर्छ साक्षरता कक्षाहरुमा जानुपर्छ भनेर उहाँहरूले पनि त्यो साक्षरताको महत्त्व नगरेको
त्यसमा चाहिँ जति कडा गर्नुपर्ने थियो नि त्यो चाहिँ गर्न सकेन
साक्षरता कार्यक्रम अनुगमन र प्र्याक्टिकल पनि भएन
पढ्नेहरू उनी अनुहार हुन् कि नयाँ अनुहार हुन् भनेर नियमन गर्न सक्यो भने पनि अलिकता फरक हुन्छ
यति गर्दियौ यति पैसा चाहिँ खाइदियौ भन्ने जुन हाम्रो मानसिकता छ त्यसले गर्दा पनि
शिक्षाको नाममा व्यापार भइरहेको कारणले गर्दा चाहिँ शैक्षिक स्तर हाम्रो नेपालमा फस्टाउन सकेको छैन
राज्यले पुनः पहल गरेर साक्षरता अभियान पुनः चलाउनु पर्छ
Local crops that sustain the food demand of the country before it joined international trade network have been endangered. Local wheat, barley and millets that previously sustained the food system have been threatened as food imports have increased. In a bid to avoid crops from being extinct, the federal government, in coordination with the local levels, has introduced a program to promote local crops. Millets that can be grown across the country has 35% more calcium than rice or corn. However, the production of the crop in the country has been going down. Currently, the country produces 320,000 metric tons of millet annually, while having imported the same product worth 12 million rupees in the past 7 months. The use of local barley, foxtail millet, garnali millet and horse grams among households has also gone down. Meanwhile, government authorities claim of introducing program to encourage production and diversification of the crops. Experts have suggested the government to focus on climate change resilient crops to fulfill growing demand. Currently, the government is operating the National Agriculture Genetic Resources Centre under the National Agriculture Research Council. The centre has preserved over 18,000 seeds, including seeds of local species. Nepal is ranked 49th in the list of most biodiverse nations, where 28% of the 24,300 species of plants are agricultural crops. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before today's question, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we'd asked you what should be done to increase domestic production. 34% voted for option A, promote entrepreneurship, 45% for B, use domestic products, and 21% for C, discourage import. And here's today's question. What should be done to raise productivity of local crops? Your options are A, raise grants for farmers, B, provide seeds, and C, make policies to promote local crops. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. The National Bureau of Statistics of China issued a report to review the economic and social development China made in 2022. According to the Statistical Communique of China, on the 2022 National Economic and Social Development, the country's gross domestic product in 2022 was about $17.95 trillion, up by 3% from the previous year. The per capita GDP in 2022 was increased by 3% from the previous year and gross national income by 2.8%. The overall labor productivity was $22,002 per person, up by 4.2% from the previous year. By the end of 2022, the total number of national population reached 1,411.75 million, a drop of 0.85 million from that of the end of 2021. Of this total, urban permanent residents numbered 920.71 million. Likewise, the number of employed people in China was 733.51 million, and that in urban areas was 459.31 million, accounting for 62.6% of the total employed people. At the end of 2022, China's foreign exchange reserves reached $3,127.7 billion, a decrease of $122.5 billion compared with that of the end of 2021. The year 2022 also saw a total of 62 successful space launches, when Xi'an and Mengxian lab modules of China's space station were launched successfully. The missions of Shenzhou 14 and Shenzhou 15 were carried out and the space station was fully completed. Welcome back. It's time now for the sports update.
Sports news.
Departmental team Trivanami has clinched the Bhadrapur Jhapa Gold Cup title, defeating Machindra Club 4-3 in the tiebreaker in the final held earlier today. Both the sides failed to open their goal accounts within regulation time, pushing the match into extra time. But with the failure to break the deadlock, the match went into penalty shootout. Army custodian Samit Shrestha proved to be instrumental in Army's win, having saved 2 attempts by Machindra. Tournament winners Army take home 1.3 million rupees, while runners-up Machindra have won 700,000 rupees cash prize. Nepal have thrashed Malaysia by 10 wickets in the ICC Under-19 Asian qualifiers. Malaysia won the toss and decided to bat first in the match played at Malik Cricket Ground, where they were bowled out for a paltry 72 runs in 35.3 overs. Muhammad Akran Malik scored 26 for Malaysia, while Muhammad Harisan and Muhammad Sayari scored 12 runs each, while none of the other batters made notable contributions. Dipesh Kadil was the pick of the Nepali bowlers with 4 wickets as he bowled 53 dot balls in his 10 overs. Akash Chand grabbed 3 wickets, Milan Bohra had 2, while Subhas Bhandari had 1 scalp. In reply, Nepal chased the target in 9 overs without losing a single wicket. Openers Deepak Bohra and Arjun Kumal also scored 38 and 21 runs each. It was the 4th successive win for Nepal. The win has increased Nepal's possibilities of qualifying for the Under-19 World Cup. Time now for the weather update. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.